right, Flight Sim community, this is Beetle Beast, and here we are back in Flight Sim 2024. We're back in the BlackSquare Beach Bonanza. This is the model without tip tanks. This is only the second time I've attempted to fly this thing, so we're going to see what happens. I'm back in the game. It looks like our fuel load did reset. I am currently using the KLN 90B, so I've got that GPS up. We're going to be going over to Memphis. It's a pretty short flight. We'll see if I actually remember how to use this thing once we get going, but let's see. That's present position. We don't need that at all. I would rather get back to the main page, but we're not going to worry about that right now because we're going to find it eventually. I think I just saw one of them. It's like a map picture, flag, present position, direct track. Let's go direct to... Oh, it dropped. How dare you. All right, we're going to go to direct to Memphis again. I'm going to load that in real quick. Like I said, it is a little different than the one that I used when I was doing my flight training, but still basic general idea. Add a mic over here, and then that should allow us to see that we're going direct to that location, and that's what my plan's going to be. Like I said, it's only like maybe 40 miles or so. Enter. All right, there we go, 57 miles. So pretty straightforward. Should be pretty quick to get over there. Not sure why I'm getting. So we've got present position here, Jonesboro. That's where we're at. 227 from 3.1 nautical miles from wherever the Jonesboro VOR is. My guess is JBR and not KMEM. So that should be adjust course to 150 or 147. We will be going a little bit further to the south and east today. Saw something online talking about being able to click your instrumentation, as they're apparently all affected. All right, enough said. Enough fun. Let's get on this. So brakes coming off. I did open up the manual a little bit to see kind of what to expect for some of that performance, and it looks like cruising performance on this airplane is about 23 or so inches of manifold pressure and about 2,300 RPM. You can kind of run it as 23 squared, and it should, for the most part, work pretty well. Flaps are already up. We'll end up with a nice left-hand turnout here. Once again, getting 60 frames per second. I do have my failure set to 100% realistic, so it shouldn't, nothing should fail more than they fail on a regular basis. So in other words, if all goes well, I shouldn't really expect much failures unless you're abusing the snot out of things. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our engine back just slightly on the RPM. Keep that out of the red, and we'll start that left-hand turn to get ourselves on course. Flying over to Memphis. Got a little bit of flex there in the wing. You can kind of see as it's kind of bouncing around. I opened up the manual very briefly. Like I said, I looked at the performance for cruise and some of the speeds that you should be able to get. Like I said, on the way over here, it seemed as if the speeds were pretty accurate for what I would expect. It's kind of funny. I do get a vibration when you open up the cowl flaps, so now my yoke does have a vibration kind of going through it. But yeah, I think for the most part, the manual is big. It's like I said, it's like 200 pages. And I know they were kind of bragging about that. Other people were kind of bragging about it as well, saying, hey, this thing's absolutely amazing. And if you're interested in seeing a massive amount of data regarding these airplanes, that would make sense. I wouldn't doubt if 200 pages is probably thicker than the manual for the Beach Bonanza. Or at least as thick. Now, granted, for this game, there are 3 variations of the airplane. There's the base version that I'm flying right now. There's a turbocharged version that has wing tip tanks on it. And then there's also, like I said, it is a PT6 powered turbine Bonanza. Each one is incrementally a little bit faster, having a little bit more performance with it. But, you know, all in all, They should be pretty awesome airplanes. So I'm sure on this flight, not this particular flight, but on these upcoming flights here, we're going to get a chance to play around with these a little bit more. Kind of see what to expect from each one of them, and hopefully learn a little bit more as we kind of work through the process. But yeah, we'll see. I bet performance is going to kind of degrade a little bit here in VR as we get closer to Memphis. Just because I will almost guarantee, I mean, I know you can buy the airport in Memphis inside of the game itself, and doing so should result in a much more accurate experience. Let's see what this thing is wanting to say. Message. Memphis airspace. See your airspace alert. Yeah, so TBN Memphis, 3,000 feet to 10,000 feet. Airspace alert. Memphis area C, 3,000 feet to 10,000 feet. Both class Bravo. Just letting me know. I appreciate it. So we'll go on over. We'll climb up a little bit. We'll go up to like 5,500 feet. We don't really need to. We could easily fly over here significantly lower. But don't see any good reason not to. Let's go on over and we'll make the change. I will bring up the interface. I want to take a peek at that because there's a lot of information that's in that EFB that's down there that's really kind of neat to look through. So I'd like to play around with that a little bit. And you know what, to do that, let's go ahead and set this up at 5,500 feet. Let's bring on our flight director. Let's go ahead and engage our altitude armed. And let's engage our autopilot. And let's go ahead and put ourselves on a heading to intercept. Bring that back a little bit to the right. And then we'll arm our nav mode as well. Might increase that climb rate. We should be able to maintain 1,000 feet per minute in this airplane. Alright, 1,000 go. There's the alerter. Wish the alerter was a little louder. You know, not gonna lie, it just seems a little quiet for what I would expect. Apparently, I'm thinking the trees must be killing me. I was getting like 70 frames per second looking that way. I get 55 looking down there at the trees. And we'll engage the nav mode so that this one here is going to capture up and it's going to fly that radio, that course outbound from Jonesboro and inbound to the VR, or to Memphis. Note that apparently the computer is going to go ahead and try to do its own intercept. My intercept angle probably wasn't enough to make it happy. Real GPSs, real autopilots do similar functions when they're not if they're not as capable. You know, normally you end up with a heading, you put a heading bug over there and it'll fly that heading to intercept. Here, because it got kind of close, it's like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and come up with my own path to get there. So it set up its own intercept angle and it'll come back around and join up on the line. And it's probably basing that information on the required navigation performance that we have in here, which is going to be some en route nav, so the sensitivity is significantly lower, and as a result, that intercept angle can be significantly higher than, say, if you were flying an ILS approach or being very close to even VOR needles. Alright, so said I wanted to bring up this manual, so we'll do that. We're up here at altitude. I'm going to go ahead and pull my power back to about 23, and we'll pull our prop back to about 23 as well. Go ahead and close up our cowl flaps. And let's take a look at our mixture. I didn't play with this last time, so let's go ahead and see what we've got. .33 diff. So we're seeing alright, so you can see those EGT values as they're increasing there. There's a drop. Got a cat that just jumped on me again. Looks to me like this is going to be about our peak, somewhere right around there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave her there. And I want to bring up that tablet so we can take a peek at this. So Obviously, this is where we were able to change our avionics. So we've got the KLN-90B right there, of course, and we've also got the regular King 155Bs showing up right here and here. So this is what we're going to use for primary and secondary communication and primary and secondary nav. So all that said, the ADF, of course, is right here. We've got our autopilot panel here, the same radio or radar that we had in here before, and a transponder here. And I just lied to you. I said GPS, or I said ADF. This is actually a DME. This is a KN, is it 81? Looks like KNS 81. But this is your DME facility right here. Shows radio that we're on, frequency that's looking at, and the distance right there. Over here on this side, we have an ADF, so you could put in a frequency and tune it, and then we can be able to watch it down over here. But over here, this is pretty neat. So you've got what the airplane has in it in terms of people, fuel, etc. Things you can take in and take out. I kind of like that. It's pretty straightforward. So here is our engine. Shows what the battery's doing. Let's see here. Mag. Obviously, we could have the potential for a failure there. It says engine conditions good. Cowl flaps are currently closed. These are all yellow, or red. I'm kind of curious if... Let's see if that changes at all, depending on the amount of fuel we have in there. If it's running rich or running lean. I'm kind of curious if they'll heat up or cool off, etc. So the colors haven't changed at all. I'm kind of guessing that these are going to remain as they are. You can see the spider for the engine, for the fuel plenum here, for the injectors. You can see what the exhaust gas temperatures are, but I'm not noticing anything in particular in terms of the cylinder heads changing as you fly. So I'm kind of guessing that that's not going to happen. Although the left side here looks redder than this side. This side here looks more of an orange. So maybe there is some cooling? I don't know. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. It's kind of interesting though. Your alternator, of course, over here shows the amp load, shows the voltage that's being output. So you got 28 volts. Miles away still from Memphis. But yeah, this is I mean, there's something else to kind of do here, so I kind of dig that. Electrical system, you can see what's on, what's not, what's kind of drawing voltage, where power's at. I mean, it's kind of neat. You know, you wouldn't have this in a regular airplane. You've got what's happening, 48 degrees Fahrenheit in here. We could actually, I guess, change that, couldn't we? Let's see, that's a firewall shut off, cabin heat. Let's see. Yeah, so take a peek at that. You've got the cabin heat valve. So you can see the valve here on the firewall right there. So the heat exchangers on these, you use exhaust gas to warm up the cabin of the airplane. Not the gas itself, but there's a shroud that goes over the exhaust, and then when you open that up, you receive hot air coming in. So just with that, you can see the temperature just kicked up to 50 degrees, 51. And you can see this little plenum here shows hot now, so you've got hot air. This airplane also does have an air conditioner, so if we wanted to, if we were in a really hot area, we could turn the AC on, and then you can start cooling the airplane off. So kind of neat. It's once again not something that you really would need, but it's possible. I need to see what MTBF mode is, but this is all the failures, and you can click on them, reset them if something was to happen, and we don't want to deal with an actual failure. We could turn it back off. But what I was interested in, of course, is that you do have this engine wear here. I didn't notice anything saying that I could change the persistent state. I believe it's going to stay the same no matter kind of what we do. So, you know, don't know if that's going to be a factor or not, but I'll be curious to see if we notice a degradation of the engine, degradation of the battery as time goes on, as we kind of make this trek over the southern states here. But you do have a very quick, hey, repair this and everything should go back to normal type of mode. So anyway, so that's that. That's kind of cool though. I do like it. It said that I can do A&R if I was to click on there, and you can see the little jacks get plugged in. pretending like you now have a set of A&R headsets on. Let's see, can I? Well, that's just awkward. You can change the amount. So I don't know if you guys were able to notice it. I know I keep the volume kind of low for you guys in here. But you can change the amount of reduction, of noise reduction. You can increase it or decrease it or remove it altogether. I don't think that the sound inside of here is ever so loud that that's going to be a factor in the game. In a real airplane, you want, of course, to minimize that as much as you can. In a game like this, I simply turn down the volume of the microphone so that I don't hear it as much. It's always a neat factor. I also don't wear headset or headphones when I'm doing this unless I'm recording in VR. During those moments, of course, I put on the headphones just so you guys can hear me recording. But there was a funny thing that someone mentioned, like, when you're flying in an airplane, we put on headphones to deafen out the outside noise. Yeah, you still want to be able to hear, and it's still important to hear. So you need clear and concise communication. You need to have good audio speakers in there. But the vast majority of the headphones, aviation headsets, is actually designed for reducing noise. Nothing about, increasing it. However, when you are in a game like this and you put on headphones playing a video game, the purpose is to hear more, right? So we want to be able to hear what's going on outside, not avoid it. So anyway, all things said, that's kind of the way it goes. So it looks like fuel's getting a little bit lower on the right tank. I'm going to swap it to the left. Like I said, once again, I do still have this issue where that's not turning. I'm not going to play with it in flight, but it's still not moving. So, kind of is what it is. Let's see if we can get some information from Memphis. We'll do this kind of the old-fashioned way instead of looking it up, even though we're probably going to end up seeing it by accident anyway. Don't want that. I want this one. So, ATIS, 127.75. And we'll put it down here in 2. Swap it over. Turn it on so we can listen. And if you notice, you can't really see it here, but we should be transmitting COM 1. That's COM 2 transmission. These are for being able to listen to those same frequencies. So you press that button, and we should be able to hear. May or may not work. We'll find out, but the speed at which this thing sometimes updates is kind of slow. And we're getting kind of close. I do see the city up there. Airport should be just on the other side of it. Didn't work. I hear nothing. Let's try that one. There we go. This one here appears to be speaker. That one's phone. Hearing noises, but I'm not hearing it. 300 feet from Memphis. Yeah, for whatever reason, we're not hearing it. I'm not getting the Memphis ATIS. 2775, 2775. Let's try it on the top. Oh.
Memphis Airport information, Papa.
We're getting it there.
Zulu. Wind 202 at 12. Visibility 10. High condition clear. Temperature 12. Dew point -6. Altimeter tree 020. ILS runway 18 center, ILS runway 18 right, and ILS runway 18 left in use. Landing and departing runway 18 center, runway 18 right, and runway 18 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Papa.
So we'll be landing one of the 18s. Got the gear horn because I've got power all the way back right now.
Visibility 10. High condition
Take it just above that.
Temperature 12. Dew point -6. Altimeter tree 020. ILS runway 18 center, ILS runway 18 right, and ILS runway 18 left in use. Landing and departing runway 18 center, runway 18 right, and runway 18 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight.
There's a pyramid.
All aircraft read back, hold short instructions.
So let's go ahead and swap
Advise
ourselves to heading
controller on
mode.
initial contact, you have Papa.
And let's set ourselves up for
Memphis
18
Airport
right.
information, Papa, 1000 Zulu. Wind 202 at 12. Visibility 10. High condition clear. Temperature 12. Dew point -6. Altimeter tree 020. ILS runway 18 center, ILS runway 18 right, and ILS runway 18 left in use. Landing and departing runway 18 center, runway 18 right, and runway 18 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back, hold short instructions.
And yeah, we're still getting pretty solid performance, up in the 60s for frames per second right now. Alright, we're going to swap off of Papa so we don't have to hear it 500 times. Got the airport out there. We are pretty far out. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen a whole bunch of other airplanes considering where we're at. 1,000 feet until we reach the pattern altitude here. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and just level us off. Well, not quite that high. About there. Capture. Alright, see the right side, center side should be over there just past the FedEx ramp. Auto's off. For whatever reason, autopilot decided it wanted to keep on descending. Maybe it was because of the time in which I reselected the altitude. But, yeah, I didn't really want to descend anymore, so we're going to go ahead and hang out right here. So in the middle between these two runways that you see here, the one on the right-hand side and the one that's right in front of us, is the terminal area for Memphis. It just all kind of came into view right now. The FBO for the Part 91 general aviation airplanes is actually up on the northern side of the airport. There's really no great way to get there from here. There's really no great way to get there from anywhere up ahead of us here. So we'll just land on this runway, taxi clear, and we'll kind of consider that the end all be all. Up here on the left-hand side, you're going to be seeing all the FedEx facilities and ramps for all the cargo operations that are down here in Memphis. And humorously enough, we use it for pretty much every check ride that we do. You guys don't know, you may not know, but when you're doing your check rides, the FAA certifies different airports for the operations, and you have certain approaches and procedures that you're required to do for every check ride. And the airports that typically get utilized are Memphis. Like I said, I did one where we were in the Wichita area and one up in New York. Those tend to be the ones that have the certification that the FAA is approved for use with the airplanes, and as such, that's where all the check rides are kind of done at, unless everyone wants to go back through the work of getting things recertified, and nobody ever really does. So there's a circling procedure that we've done here in Memphis, and I've done it for the last 20 years or so, where we shoot the approach for the crosswind runway, break off, and then we land on the runway over there to the right, 18 right. And some of the visual points that we use, of course, for that procedure are right down here. Normally in the sim, there's a couple of FedEx airplanes that show up on it, and you can kind of use those along with the lights for the airport and the parking lots there are usable for trying to figure out where you're at. Got the gear down. We're showing 3 green. Let's get our first notch flaps in for the approach flaps. Still really, really good performance right now. Granted, I know the draw distance isn't great, but coming coming in a little short now. That looks like United. I think they're lost. Alright, I'm going to our landing flaps. I see Spirit. A little bit of right. Crosswind's going to be necessary, so once again, a little bit of left rudder, a little bit of right aileron down. Airplane flies just really, really nice. Alright. Ours coming out. Little float. That's going to probably break something later. We'll see. It was a little harder than I kind of wanted it to be. I swear, though, the motion just feels like we're barely moving in this thing. I mean, and it also slows as if I'm actually using brakes, which I find kind of humorous because I haven't touched the brakes yet. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, we touched down. And, I mean, we barely feel like we're going anywhere. This thing's slowing down to a stop without ever touching the brakes. And like I said, I can obviously tell that I have brakes if I want to use them. Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to take a little bit to kind of get the sense of feel, I think, on the airplane. But all in all, a nice little easy flight over here to Tennessee out of the state of Arkansas. And the next stop for us is going to be down in Mississippi. I've got to make a choice as to what airport we're actually going to go to. But I know for a fact that that's where we're going. So anyway, hopefully that wasn't too boring. Nice, easy flight. Do like the airplane so far. And thank you all for watching. Hopefully you guys are kind of enjoying the airplane as well. And we'll be, I'm sure, talking about it a bit more in the comments. And I'm going to be, like I said, learning as we kind of go and playing. And if you guys have any little tips and tricks for this airplane or for the sim in general, please let me know. And yeah, I think this is going to be a fun airplane to fly around in. It's also going to be a fun airplane to kind of do some of the IFR training videos in, because I think we're going to have a great opportunity to show and talk about how to utilize some of these IFR systems and these navigational systems in this airplane to go around and do a bunch of approaches and really kind of show some small plane IFR proficiency. So anyway, that's all. Once again, thanks a lot for watching. Happy simming, and I will catch you guys on our next leg of this journey as we push ourselves further to the south and to the east.